Well, it's finally happened. WWE has released James Ellsworth, which is what many people are rejoicing over. It's weird because the guy became a sensation when Braun Strowman chokeslammed him. We all loved him. I loved him. I think you did too. I think they sort of put him in a spot to turn heel once he was booked against AJ Styles. But man, he sold really well. That's the one thing I really enjoyed about James Ellsworth when he was in the ring with guys like AJ Styles and stuff like that. Ellsworth sold stuff really well. And it was a lot of fun to watch him in those situations. He was great, and then he became really annoying right around that time. He just became really annoying, and I don't know how much exactly of that was by design by WWE versus I think they sensed the fans, right away getting annoyed with him, so they made the flip really quickly. But what a story for this guy. The guy has nothing to hang his head over. It's incredible what he did. And I think it's almost 2 years in the WWE. I think he was here for almost 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. Going from this sort of jobber character that became a sensation to this baby face, to turning into a heel, to going full heel obnoxious with Carmella. And honestly, I think if the WWE was in a better place, I think he might have stayed for another year, or at least another 8 months. But, because they're in the situation they're in, they need to release people. I think that, and I think, people really hated him, though, because he was getting some crazy-ass heat. And I thought maybe he could have carried him to WrestleMania again. But anyway, the guy seems like a great dude. We were supposed to have him on the show a while back, and then he couldn't come on because then he got signed by WWE. So, maybe we'll get him back on here. He had a great podcast on Jericho's deal, though. I remember that. But, shout out to Ellsworth, he did a great job. And a lot of people that were actually annoyed by him. I mean, I thought this was perfect. He got the face run that he got, and then he got to be a heel, and then people got really angry with him, and now he gets released. There was never a time when you weren't talking about him in WWE, where you weren't either just infuriated by him or you weren't loving the dude. So, he did not overstay his welcome. He was starting to. And, but people were talking about him a lot. And, he was getting into that time. Remember when Santino was here? I remember when I just had enough of Santino. There was a year to 2 years of Santino when I was like, oh, God, just get the fuck out of this company. I couldn't stand him anymore. And, that's after, 4 years of Santino or whatever it was. And I just had enough. And I feel like this guy's run was perfect. He's out of here. And obviously I think that this will help his indie bookings and everything else he does on the indie scene. It's too bad. You make it... I mean, you can never get back this moment of making it to the WWE like he did. I don't know how much he was paid. I don't know how much a guy like him gets paid when he signed a contract. If they paid him... My guess is somewhere between... $50,000 to $100,000. $50,000 to $100,000 is what I would expect him to get paid. And when you think about that, it's kind of a shame because you think, oh man, he made it to the WWE. And I think the real money is going to pay off being in the WWE. The real payoff is going to be the indie bookings going up and him being able to ask more in the indies for money. I assume that now, he can be booked around in the indies for I don't know. Before, he wasn't really a name, so to book him on the indies locally was probably not a lot, anywhere from the regular, $40 a night to $100 a night, But I assume now indie bookings should go up for him. He might be able to ask for $500 a booking now, and so if he can get booked a couple times a week, once a week, couple times a week, that's $500 to $1,000 a week, and then merch sales if he can do that. Well, now you get yourself a job, because a lot of regular people have full-time jobs where they make $50,000 a year, or $80,000 a year maybe. I mean, that's always seemed like rich to me. I've always thought, man, if you make $80,000, you're rich, you know, and it's not. That's the sad part. So to anybody, like, you know, in the past, you make $28,000 a year, $40,000 a year, and you know, and you think, oh man, I wish I could, instead of 40, I wish I could do 50 or 60 or 70 or 80, I'd be set. And that's kind of true in a way, but man, it's so hard out there now that, man, it's just too bad. Everything is so inflated everywhere. But anyway, I liked Ellsworth with everything he did. I think he was about to overstay his welcome. I liked a little bit what he did with Carmella. Sometimes he was really good, and sometimes he was so cheesy it was bad. But, you know, this guy gave it his all. I'll say that for sure. And nothing will ever beat those first couple months when he got hired and when Braun chokeslammed him and everything. And he just became this living meme all over the internet. So what do you guys think about Ellsworth's release? Some people calling him Ellsworthless. What do you think? Leave in the comments down below. I think WWE did this perfectly, but, you know, what do you think? Maybe not. Maybe you don't agree. It's unfortunately one of the last things he did was lose to a woman on television, you know. I mean, like, the man loses to Becky, you know, and has not a very good match with her. You thought maybe he would have had more of a spectacular ending, you know, where, but yeah, everything ended up being right. It was all the women like, you know, basically being like, F you, you know. That was the end of him. I thought maybe that he would cost Carmella. People were talking about him costing Carmella the cash-in, you know, because he was mad at her or whatever. I mean, you know, I think people would have rolled their eyes at that point at that, so... Leave in the comments down below, guys. Shout out to the new patrons, Malcolm P, for becoming a patron. Patreon.com/Joe Cronin Show. I talk about the whole Tommy situation and with the things that he claimed that happened that didn't happen, obviously, and all that on Patreon.com/Joe Cronin Show. $5 a month. My new Morning Madness is up. I wasn't able to upload Morning Madness this morning because something was wrong with Patreon or whatever, so I re-recorded a whole new one anyway because the one I had wasn't even very good. So that's all up there for you. 40 minutes I go on a rant about Xbox One X and a bunch of other crap is up on Patreon right now. I'll see you guys tonight live for Out of Nowhere on the Corrupted YouTube channel. And Adam Rose will not be joining us tonight because Adam Rose was not able to come tonight. He did text me back. He said next week or the week after. Don't know why, don't know what's going on, but he said he had some things that came up. But we will have Adam Rose on Out of Nowhere one of these weeks, apparently.